Well, now I want to talk about the main feature of these melodies that we have to use as an exercise, as a composing exercise. The main feature of these melodies is that we must have a full musical piece. What I mean is that even if we compose only a short melody, this melody must be a full musical piece. Even if this melody is very short, maybe only 8 bars, for example, but you must start writing it, but you also have to complete it, to finish it. And it is very important to get used to doing this, so to starting a piece and to finishing it, because it is a quite common fault of many people to start writing a piece, and then if you don't like some parts of it, if you don't like what you have written, you usually it happens that you can stop, and so you don't finish this composition. Then you start with a new composition. Maybe you don't like it at all, so you stop again. Then you start a new one. So you never have a full piece. You never have a whole composition. And of course, if you want to compose, it is important that you get used to composing some full pieces. And this is something very important. So this is the reason why now I want to introduce my personal composing method. We talked about it in the previous video, because this method, my own method, is a method which can help in this way, can help you to resolve this problem about starting and then stopping, and starting a new composition and stopping again, and so on. Because this is my own composing method is a step-by-step method, and so in this way, using a step-by-step method, we will be able to use everything we write. Even if it is not, even if it don't sound so good, we will be able to use it, because we have to understand a very important thing. It is very difficult to compose directly the whole piece. Maybe you have to be very inspired. You have to be you must have a great talent, but very often it happens that you start composing in a day in which you are not so inspired, and so you run the risk of spending your time and not to have anything, not to write anything. So thanks to this method, this step-by-step method, you will see that it is quite easy to start composing a melody in this case, and also to finish it, to have a complete melody. So now I want to show you the different steps of this method, so that you can understand it in depth, and you can apply, of course, all these steps to your own way of composing. The first step of this composing method is to compose your melody using only your instinct. So you don't have to think too much about I'm using a 3/4 time. And so you try to only to use your instinct, and this way try to write your own melody, a very short melody, maybe 8 bars, as we said before. So this is the first step. Now we come to the second step, which is a very important step, maybe the key point of this step-by-step method. And it is this: even if you don't like it, even if you don't like your composition, your melody, it is very important that you keep it, you keep still your melody, so you don't have to throw it away. And this is very important. Even if you don't like, even if you think that there are a lot of faults about it, you have to memorize your melody, either writing it down or recording it, or if you can also, you can only memorize it. And this is very important because in this way, in the first step, we have spent some time. Of course, we have worked on our melody, and it is very important that this work must be useful for us, because if we don't do this, we run the risk of spending time without having anything. And this is not a good method, of course, because we only spend time without having anything, without having write anything. Okay. Well, so this is the second point. Now we come to the third point, which is this: after some hours, after some days, depending on if you can or you cannot, depending on the time that you can spend working on it. So after some hours or some days, you have to come back to your melody. So you have to listen to it. Maybe you can play it, or you can listen to it if you have recorded. And it is very important that you listen to it, and you have to try to judge it. You have to judge it from an objective, a critical point of view. So I mean a critical point of view, I mean that you have to listen, you have to judge it as if you were not the composer, but only an external listener. So as if the composer were someone else. Okay, so this is the what I mean when I say that you have to judge your melody using a critical point of view. And this is very important, because using a critical point of view, you will be able to find all the different faults that you have, all the different faults of your melody in this way. Well, so this was the third point, the third step. Now we come to the fourth step, which is to work on the faults of the melody. So trying to get it better, trying to correct the faults, to modify some points. So you have to try to modify, to correct some parts, some faults, and it could happen, and this is a very important aspect, it could happen that you have to modify also other points, other parts of your melody. So don't worry if you have to modify also other parts. This is something good, because it often happens that maybe when we compose a melody, sometimes there is some point, some part that we like very much, and if we have to correct, to modify, to change some parts, sometimes we have to change also the parts that we like most of all. And so we don't want to do this, because of course that those are the most beautiful parts for us. But we must understand, it is very important that we understand that it is not important a single part of the melody, even if it sounds good, even if it is, even if we like, even if we love them, even if we loved it. It is very important the whole melody. So we can have a very good point, a very amazing, we can say there is a part that sounds very good, but maybe because of this part we cannot go on. Because of this part, this very beautiful part, we have some faults after this part. So sometimes we have to change this part to be able to compose a full melody. So this is something very important. Sometimes we have to sacrifice some good points, some good parts, to be able to have a full melody, a full piece, which is fluent, which is a whole piece. Okay, this is very important. This was the fourth point, the fourth step. Now we come to the fifth step, which is Now, after modifying, after changing some parts, so getting it better and so on, we have to write it down again. However, to memorize, to record it, and so on and so on. And then again, after some days, after some hours, we start again working on it. So we have to again we have to listen. It is very important when we start to work on it. The first thing that we have to do is to listen to it from a critical point of view, and so to find again all the other faults, because maybe some days before we have worked on it, we have resolved some problems, some issues, but there are other issues. So we have to listen again. We have to listen to it from a critical point of view, so to be able to understand, to find other faults. And so we have to work again on it, and so on and so on. So it is very important, because in this way we develop a critical skill, a musical critical skill, and it is very important this to be able to compose music. So in this way, working on day by day, in this way, our melody will grow day by day, day after day. And so in this way, we get our full piece. We are able to compose a whole piece. Well, these are the main points, the 5 steps of this composing method, which is my personal composing method, and that I suggest you to use to start composing this melody. But before we go to we pass to the next video, I want to point out something very important. You don't have to be too critical when you judge, when you listen to your melody, to your piece, to your composing exercise, because it is very difficult that when you start composing, when you start this exercise, you get a perfect melody. So the melody cannot be perfect. You will have, however, you will have some faults. It is very difficult to remove all the faults in a melody, in a piece. So it is very important not to be not too critical, because we run the risk not to writing we're on the risk of not writing anything, because it is maybe okay, this you can think, okay, I have resolved this problem, but there is this other problem, so there is another problem, another fault, and so on and so on and so on. So you only work on the same piece for a long time, and this is not so good, because to develop a good method, a good composing method, it is important to try to do various exercises, to do a lot of practice, to practice a lot. So we have to balance, we have to find a good balance between working on it, so having a good critical point of view, but not too critical, so in this way. So you only have to correct, you only have to change to resolve the main faults. Then when you have resolved the main faults, okay, your melody is okay, and then you try to write another one. This is something very important, because if we have a good balance between these 2 points, so trying to correct the faults and being aware that we cannot have a wonderful melody from the beginning, this is something very important, and this is the right way to develop a very good musical rational side.